All right, what's going on, guys? We are live here on the Unleashed podcast. I mean, it's probably been over a year since we did an actual live show for Unleashed. You know, obviously we're going live after Celtics post games, and we have the pregame on the show as well. But this is, I guess, you know, since the show started, the Unleashed podcast, and I'm going to talk about the name in a little bit. This is probably the first time in a long time that we are live here, and we're live on YouTube. So we used to do it on Periscope, we used to do it on Twitter and everything like that, but now we're really grinding away with the YouTube channel, so that is where the show is. So thank you guys. If you are watching, make sure you are commenting. We're going to be reading all chat in today's show. We're not going to be on here for that long, and I wouldn't be surprised if not many of you guys tune into the actual live show, because I decided to do this like 2 seconds ago. Like, this is not was not a planned out event, but I figured, you know what, why not go live? I feel like I haven't been live since, hell, I don't know, Celtics last year. So that's what we're doing. Make sure to drop anything you want in the chat. We'll definitely answer those, but I got a couple topics that I want to talk about, and we jump right into it. But before we do, guys, I am going to let you guys know about Foco. So Foco is going to be sponsoring this show and this episode in particular, but let's take a peek at it right now. If you guys don't know what Foco is, there's a link in the description. It's an affiliate link. You guys can use that to support the show and support the site and support the channel and everything like that. But pretty much like the amazing, like, licensed fan gear, bobbleheads, all those bobbleheads I have up there, like pretty much all of those guys are Foco bobbleheads as well. So yeah, just head over to there, Foco.com. But again, if you want to support the show, like, I like the site enough if you guys just want to go right to Foco.com, but if you want to support the show, we do have an affiliate link in the description. This is the shirt that I feel like every single person asks about when I wear this on stream after post-game shows. So yeah, go check out Foco. But first topic of today, we're going to be talking mainly Marcus Smart and Robert Williams. Obviously, they just signed their extensions, and, you know, relatively speaking, they're pretty big extensions for the players that they are. But I kind of wanted to talk about this because I was having a conversation the other day just with a buddy of mine, and, you know, everyone soured on Brad Stevens, the coach. Like, no questions about that. Like, even if you're defending Brad right up until the end last year, you kind of knew you were just kind of, you know, oh boy, I'm trying to defend him. Like, you kind of knew you were in, you know, hot water there. But Brad Stevens, the GM, regardless of if this season goes super well or anything like that, Brad Stevens, the GM, came in and started making moves. You know, he traded Kemba Walker right away, goes and gets Josh Richardson, you know, signs Schroder, like, and signs Cantor and gets Horford back. You know, all these different moves. Regardless of those actually pan out and actually really, really work out, like, Brad Stevens came in and said, hey, you know what? This is my team now. I'm not just the coach. I'm going to try and shake things up. I'm going to do something. And never mind, you know, didn't even mention that he hired Ime Udoka too. So I wanted to give the credit where it's due to Brad Stevens, because people started to sour on him, but then, you know, now he's kind of earning trust back because he's in a completely different position. And I'm hoping everyone else kind of had the same mindset as me when he did get that job as the GM. It wasn't going to be sort of a, hey, you know what, like, let's hate Brad right away. No, you got to give him the chance. You have to give him the chance as the GM, which clearly they have, and fans have, because everyone loves him. But all right, we're talking Marcus Smart and Robert Williams. First up, we're going to get to Marcus Smart. I see some of the chat piling in too. We'll get to chat in just a second. No Cap saying, hated Brad the coach, but done an excellent job as a GM. Glad Danny is gone. Yeah, Danny, and I have a conspiracy theory that Danny was, like, forced out in a sense. I don't need to get into that in today's show, but I will say it's a little interesting that all of a sudden it's like you heard nothing, no smoke, nothing like that, and Danny Ainge was gone. Brad Stevens was next up. It seemed a little rushed to me and whatnot, but that's literally like a conspiracy. I can completely acknowledge that. But Marcus Smart got his deal, $77 million, right, over 4 years. I think it came to, like, you know, just over $19 million. I talked about this on the channel already, so you guys had probably seen this if you are subscribed, and if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But $77 million, and I feel like, I'm not gonna lie, Celtics fans were kind of 50-50 on this one, and we're gonna talk about Robert Williams too. That's even one where people kind of were like, I don't know about that. But Marcus Smart, the biggest thing I wanted to say, and I kind of already talked about this, so apologies if it's repeat for some of you guys, but Marcus Smart, you know, whether you like him or not, he's now here long term, and if he's not here long term, they have a way more tradable player Like, it's not like a team would be barking down your door and knocking down, being like, hey, can we get Marcus Smart? Because he's only got 1 year left on his deal. So even if you hate Marcus Smart, he's more tradable now. Yeah, he makes a little bit more money, only what, $7.5 million or something like that, more than he was making or was going to make. Now he's a more tradable contract. So there's the sort of hate side of it. If you do hate Marcus Smart, if you don't like Marcus Smart at all, that's the negative side of it, but or I guess the positive of any sort of negative view of it. But I will say this, I'm so on board for the Marcus Smart signing because, you know, again, if he is sort of in need of being moved, they can still move him. That's not even out the window. There's no concerns about that. But if they don't need to move him, by the time Marcus Smart is, you know, on this team 4 years from now, $19 million a year is going to look fine for him. Like, that isn't, it's not like that was a absolute overpay. You know, we had already said on the channel and in streams and whatnot, I don't know, is 20 million, is he a 20 million guy? Is he anything like that? He got under 20 million. I mean, albeit just like, you know, just barely under 20, but he did get under $20 million. So how can you hate that if, you know, if you were kind of teeter-tottering on the $20 million mark to begin with. So I think that this is going to be an absolutely valuable contract. And again, it's going to be tradable if it needs to be. So sign me up on the Marcus Smart deal. And I do hope, actually, I should say. I don't want to say think. I'm kind of banking on the fact that now he has his money. He can kind of return, you know, get that back down to earth. And he doesn't have to, like, try and show out for the league. He doesn't have to go and take a bunch of threes a game, try and score, try and make the flashy passes. Hopefully Marcus Smart is now content with his money and content with just making winning plays, which is why he earned our love in the first place. And I feel like the last year, maybe year and a half, he started to sort of dwindle that away. But that might have been because he was trying to look for a deal. So let's move on to Robert Williams here because I see some chat. We'll get to some of the chat here. No Cap saying, foolish to extend Rob. Brad should have let the season play out to see if he can stay healthy a full season. Him and Romeo are made of glass. I mean, I don't totally agree with you, No Cap, but I will say, if you are going to come at the Robert Williams signing and say that it was negative in any way, shape, or form, that's the point. Like, that is hitting the nail on the head. You just gave a guy that really has no proof of even remotely being able to stay on the floor. You just gave him, you know, a 4-year extension for, what was it, 13 a year. I think it was 54 million total. You just put your faith in a guy that hasn't been able to, like, return that sort of consistent play. But the one thing I will say, and, you know, I said this on the video I made about it as well, the reason I'm in on the Robert Williams signing, the reason I do like the Robert Williams signing, you're banking on him. You're betting. You're gambling. That's what they've been doing with Robert Williams his entire career. He slid in the draft. They drafted him. He missed a million flights when they first got him and missed practices, and they kept giving him chances. You are banking on the fact that he's going to turn into an absolute athletic freak beast of a big man, right? You aren't just saying, oh, you know what? He's injured. Let's just give him money. No, you're saying, hopefully he can stay healthy, because if he does stay healthy, and that's a big if, but if he does stay healthy, $13 million a year for him by the time he's at that point is going to be like chump change. So I'm in on the Robert Williams signing with the caveat of recognizing that, hey, I completely understand that this is sort of them banking or them gambling on him. But again, I'm not bothered by that because they've been banking on Robert Williams since they drafted him. You know, like, they took the flyer on him, even though he was, you know, reports of being injured in college and having the sort of lack of a work ethic, seeming like that's sort of turned around and whatnot. But yeah, like, I would agree, No Cap, in your, if I was in your, you know, if I was on the same side of the street here as you, not liking the Robert Williams deal, that's exactly why we wouldn't like it. So you got that right, but I'm willing to take the gamble on him. Phil saying, sup. Matt saying, how do the Rob and Smart contracts tie into a possible Beal signing in the future? And I see KJ helping us out here. He says, Horford, Romeo, and Grant and picks for Beal works in a sign and trade. You can keep Smart and Time Lord. I mean, again, I don't know. Like, that seems like it's so ideal. Being able to keep these two guys that you just signed long-term and having to give up, you know, Mr. Grant Williams himself, and Al Horford, and then Romeo, who seems like he isn't really, like, he's not able to stay healthy as well. That's, like, ideal. Let's go get Beal for that. I do feel like part of the strategy behind these Robert Williams and Marcus Smart extensions is with the idea that we do have the potential backdoor of a trade now. So I don't want to just give full sort of credence to, hey, they signed these guys long-term and now Beal's off the board. Or if he is on the board, it's going to be for an absolute steal, like KJ mentioned. I do feel like this sort of impacts the Bradley Beal sweepstakes, and just a little bit, because I do think one of these contracts would potentially probably get moved, and that's just if, like, you know, Washington would want any talent back or anything like that. But, you know, if Bradley Beal is saying, hey, I'm out of here, like, you might as well sign and trade me rather than me walking or anything like that, then maybe Washington won't have any leverage in the situation. You know, maybe you say, hey, like, take it or leave it. We're gonna get him either way, and then the Wizards say, okay, let's do this, because the Celtics would have to unload some money to even get him. But if Washington wants something back in return, then that's probably what they would think and have to do, I guess. Let's see. Ben saying, I'm a Celtics fan in London. Owners have to get real aggressive to stop being left behind. Yeah, I mean, if that's one thing that we can agree on, it's that this has been a great offseason. I really do think that, but I don't think the Celtics played it as aggressive as other teams. Now, I'm fine with that because it was still super aggressive compared to what we've seen Danny Ainge do in the past, but I feel like the Celtics got lucky with the Schroder signing. Like, if that signing doesn't happen, you are looking at this offseason just a little bit differently. I still think it's a very, very, very positive offseason, but you did get an absolute steal of a player, like $6 million and change for a guy that wanted $25 million. You got that guy. So it does make the offseason seem like, way, 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 way better. But for a little while there, it looked like, we were going with Josh Richardson, and as Cantor, and then what, like, during that time? I mean, I guess you have the Kemba trade that happened beforehand, but I do agree that some teams got way more aggressive and spent a little bit more money and whatnot around the league, and a lot of teams got way better than the Celtics, especially teams that are, they're already trying to compete with. But I don't want us to forget that we haven't seen, like, an incredibly aggressive offseason in quite some time, and Brad came in right away and just said, hey, let's go do it. So, yes, I would like a little bit more. I'm going to agree with you, Ben. But I do feel like they did their damn shares to try and at least make moves this offseason, No Cap saying, Danny's salty about the job Brad has done. Clearly, you see his retweet today. He hears the Brad praise. That was wild to me. Yeah. Let's see if I can pull that up for us here. So Danny Ainge quote tweeted this. Someone saying, like, Danny Ainge drafted these guys, and it's like, Danny Ainge, I mean, I've seen him quote tweet fans before and whatnot, but this is wild. This is just like I mean, I don't know the Twitter account he quote tweeted, so I don't mean to offend, but like this just random guy named Colin, huh? How about this? Shout out to Colin for just getting this quote tweet. Colin said, Danny Ainge drafted a 20-point scorer 3 years in a row and drafted 2 incredibly defensive players around those picks. And I mean, it's true. I'm not going to lie with that. It's a very true statement. But the funny thing is that it's like this guy is a CM116 or CM61, whatever. I'm reading that terribly. Hey, shout out to him. He got his quote tweet, but why is Danny Ainge like feeling the need to quote tweet some random person on social media? I don't know. Maybe he feels like he's being outperformed. I don't know. It's a little interesting. Let's see. Baller saying, if Beal isn't the answer, should the Celtics use the cap space to go after bench fillers like a Joe Ingles and others next offseason? I mean, yeah. And honestly, this is weird. This is just kind of coming to me now, so I don't think this is going to be a fully formulated take. But if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown take an absolute leap, like I'm talking leap, then the need all of a sudden for that third guy isn't as immediate, or you really don't need a Bradley Beal in here right away. Obviously, the more talent you have in the NBA, the better you are. That's like kind of I almost want to say the crappy way the league works nowadays. But what I will say is going and having Jason Tatum take a leap where, he's probably better than Bradley Beal or something like that, and Jaylen Brown is at the level where maybe Tatum was last year type of thing. All of a sudden you say, hey, okay, we have a core. We have guys like maybe Robert Williams or Nesmith showed a little bit, Pritchard, those type of things. Maybe one of those guys can turn into the third go-to guy that we need. And shout out to KJ. He posted a vid on the YouTube channel, on this channel. Go check that out. It was about who that third guy could be. And and it was a good vid. So definitely go check that out. I can put the link in the chat here if it allows me to. I don't know, but I'll work on that. Or if KJ, if you're still in here and you want to post the link to it. But the Celtics, if they have that big leap, then it's all of a sudden like, oh, we don't need to bring in another, MVP type candidate in here. We have that guy, and maybe that clogs the floodgates a little bit too much. And going to get guys like Joe Ingles or players that are really sort of, they can do their thing. Like, they're not going to do too much. They're not going to do too little. They're going to come in and do their job. That could make this team a lot better, but it would need exactly what I'm saying to happen. Like, Tatum needs to take the leap where he's like hands down better than Bradley Beal. Jaylen Brown needs to take a leap to where he's like, like Tatum was last year. Dare I say that? Like, Tatum was phenomenal last year, but if they have those two guys take that big leap, then all of a sudden you can kind of suppress the Bradley Beal talk or the Damian Lillard talk or any other star bring him in here type talk. So that's totally valid, but a lot would need to happen. And anyone saying like, if Beal's not the answer or anything like that, it's like, I get it. Like, you wouldn't look at that and be like, oh, Bradley Beal's going to play well alongside two other guys that like to score the ball. But it's the NBA. Like, that is what the NBA, it sucks, but that is what the NBA is. Like, just get as much scoring you can. You know what I mean? Like, go get the biggest stars you can and put them on your team and hope for the best, And we've seen it work. We've seen it not work. But I feel like that is just sort of the strategy here. Guys, I'm going to ask you, too. I forgot to mention this, but, now that we have the ability to monetize on YouTube, which, you've seen the channels. We're doing, like, daily uploads, sometimes more than one upload per day. We are grinding on this channel, so if you do want to support the show, make sure to send a super chat in. Just anything is fine. Like, I'm not asking for a lot here, but if you do want to support the show, I know we had the donation link a ways back, but if you do want to support the show, anything helps, everything helps. Everything that we're making, we're trying to dump back into the channel, make this a better experience for you guys. So if you do want to send a super chat, make sure to do that. And let's keep going here because we got a few more chats to catch up on here. Celt saying Golden State can offer more for Brad Beal. Well, the thing is, Bradley Beal does have a little bit of control here, right? Like, one, he can just tell Washington straight up, like, here is where I want to go. Figure that out. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to walk if they don't want to do this type of thing. So if he wants to go to Boston over Golden State, then I think that they'd be able to work that out and make that happen. But I agree. There's a lot of teams in the league, and none off the top of my head, but if you say Golden State can offer more, then we'll roll with that. There's a lot of teams that probably can offer more than the Celtics can, right? But it's a matter of, okay, well, is is Bradley Beal going to say, hey, pump the brakes here? I have a short list of teams I want to go to. Boston's on the top of that list. That's where I want you to send me. That's the difference. That's the one thing that, we can if you are super high on the bring Bradley Beal here, that's what you can hope for. Because it would I think there's a lot of teams around the league that probably have more talent and more sort of value to trade for Bradley Beal. Like, if there's one thing about the Celtics here, I don't think they have the trade chips that a lot of teams do. Like, no one wants a Romeo Langford. No one wants a Womp Womp man. No one wants, like, I guess, even an Aaron Nesmith at this point. Like, nothing's proven. Like, the Celtics don't have these young guys that some teams might want at all. All right, let's get to some more of the chat here. KJ saying it doesn't matter if Golden State can offer more. If Beal hits free agency, is likely to and wants to sign with Boston. Tom saying, I'm really interested to see how Udoka, I'm so bad at names. Like, I just know I'm so bad at names. I'm really interested to see how Udoka uses Smart, as well as how much faith is going to be put into Pritchard and Nesmith this season. Thought Nesmith looked good in Summer League. He did. I feel like the first game, right? It looked like he was kind of just a little bit rusty, not playing too well. Didn't really strike me as, oh, this guy has it type of thing. He started to get better and better. Let me start with Pritchard, because I think Pritchard is a really interesting sort of guy at this point, because I will say this. Peyton Pritchard, I've said multiple times in the past, oh, you're not going to get like this guy that actually can go off. He's going to be a very steady guy, but what you have from Pritchard right now is what you're going to get. He's not going to be a true starting point guard someday or anything like that. He's sort of just like the even keel. This is what you're going to get from Pritchard, right? I don't know if I feel that way anymore. Like, I saw Pritchard go for, go off in that 92-point game. That was awesome in Pro-Am, but just outside of that body of work, this summer in general for Pritchard, the Summer League, he looked very good. Like, that first game, he was kind of the guy. I know he didn't have the best, but who did that last game? But Pritchard, to me, has kind of opened my eyes a little bit to saying, hey, he might not be the starter, okay? Maybe not yet, but I wouldn't die on the hill anymore if Peyton Pritchard's never going to be a true, go-to starting point guard. Like, he's opened my eyes big time. And this is coming from someone that I've never hated Peyton Pritchard whatsoever. I just always thought, hey, like, if we're looking at him long term, like, he's not the guy that's going to explode into something special. He's just going to be kind of a better version of what he is now. I saw some explosion out of Peyton Pritchard and him getting better. He looks like he's in better shape. Clearly can shoot the ball. So what can we expect out of Peyton Pritchard? And how much faith? I think a lot of faith's going to be put into Pritchard. Why? Well, because you look at your team right now, like, who's your true point guard? It's going to be Marcus Smart by default, but, Marcus Smart, who I do have faith in running the offense, I wouldn't necessarily say that, he's a point guard by definition, right? He's more of the guy that, maybe he can play off ball, but maybe he can defend on the other end, his focus. Peyton Pritchard might be that sort of standard point guard you have, because then you have, Schroder, then you have Chris Dunn. I wouldn't even consider Josh Richardson in this sort of point guard conversation. But yeah, it's like Peyton Pritchard now, almost just like Marcus Smart's going to be the point guard, day one by default. I feel like Peyton Pritchard's going to be that sort of true point guard of the team by default. Like, they don't have another guy that sort of, he'll score via the catch and shoot. He's calm, cool, collected with the ball, can make things happen, makes the right pass at the right time. Peyton Pritchard could be that guy. So I think faith is going to be put into him by the coach, like, just by default. And I honestly think, based on what I've seen this summer, and I know you can't put too much weight into the Summer League, I will say Peyton Pritchard, I think, is going to rise to the occasion. Like, I think Peyton Pritchard is going to take the increased workload and be able to handle it and play a lot better. So I'm very, very excited for that. Because I think that, again, by default, he's going to have more responsibility. So let's see if he can handle it. And I'm in the boat that he will. And I guess, I could be completely wrong. I could just be a little too optimistic right now. I'll give you guys that. But based on what we've seen, and again, albeit it was Summer League, looks pretty good to me. Like, looks pretty good to me 100%. All right, let's get to some more chats here. No Cap says, should the Celtics trade Smart now for Lauri Markkanen? So to me, what was I forget the price tag Markkanen was looking at for money. To me, I don't think that he's totally worth what you'd end up having to pay him or anything like that. Like, I think that, I do think Lauri Markkanen's good. Like, what is he, 24 years old? But he's a guy that almost won, talk about injuries. If we're going to say injuries with Robert Williams, you got to throw that into the conversation as well for Lauri Markkanen. But Lauri Markkanen, to me, like, he's coming off of 2 years where he's almost regressed a little bit. Like, he hasn't been as good as he was when, I forget how many points he averaged, like, maybe 19 points a game or 17 point something points a game, like 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't know if you want a Lauri Markkanen right now, because you are taking a gamble on him, and I don't think that at the price you'd have to give up, like trading Smart and paying him, tens of millions of dollars to come to Boston, I don't know if he's the type of guy you want to take a flyer on. Like, I'd much rather take a flyer on a guy that has an absolute, no ceiling that exists. Like, Lauri Markkanen, I feel like he's got a fine floor, but how much better is he going to get? Where's his potential? That's where I don't necessarily, I don't know if I would, pay the price for him. Baller says, would you try to make a move for Cat if you can't get Beal? I would rather Karl-Anthony Towns than Beal. Like, 1,000,000%. I do think that, like, the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns' name, like, I know a couple years ago was brought up and whatnot, but he's staying in Minnesota, he's leaving Minnesota, he's gonna get traded, he's content in Minnesota, he doesn't like it. Like, it's so wild to me that he hasn't been plucked and put on another team. He's probably like my white whale, like white buffalo, whatever the hell the saying is. I want Karl-Anthony Towns over anyone. I don't know if maybe he's just harder to get because he doesn't, go out there and publicize that he wants to be traded, so Minnesota keeps some leverage. Like, I'd find it hard to talk Minnesota into giving us Karl-Anthony Towns without giving up Jaylen Brown. Like, to be honest. Let's see. Andrew says Knicks over Celtics. It's very hard for me to say that that's not true coming off of last year. But to me, it's like the Knicks, yeah, they had Julius Randle go off. They added Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, kept Nerlens around. Like, I do think the Knicks are one of the stronger teams. And I'll say this, I talked about it in a recent video as well. Like, I don't think that it's valid to say, oh, the Knicks are an automatic better than the Celtics right now coming up this year. Like, why? Why? Because RJ Barrett had a good year? Okay, we have Jason Tatum. You know, like, because you have Kemba Walker? Okay, we just had him last year. How'd that work for us? Evan Fournier, same exact thing I just said. You know, it's like, you have your Tatum and Brown, and Tatum and Brown are better than them. I think maybe the Knicks probably have a little bit better of a bench. Celtics worked on that this year. But, you know, other than the fact that the Knicks had a better season than last year, I don't really think you could say, oh, the Knicks are just definitely better than the Celtics. If your one bit of argument is that, you know, oh, well, you know, we were better last year, then all right, well, how the hell am I supposed to argue that? You were. But to say that, oh, let's automatically chalk it up, who's better than the Celtics, the Knicks are not in that conversation for me. No. I mean, maybe they could beat them in a 7-game series, stuff like that. I'm not going to, you know, BS you and say that the Celtics would kill the Knicks. That just doesn't seem true right now. But they're not an automatic. And I talked about that in a recent video as well. Go check that out, where I watched a clip that was sent to me. I think it was from the Celtics Beat podcast. And Cedric Maxwell and Adam Kaufman were talking about how many teams, like, they could possibly be the 10th seed because teams like Charlotte got better and so on and so forth. So yeah, definitely go check that out. Because I just don't think that there's anyone outside of 2 or 3 teams that are automatically in the East right now better than the Celtics. And that's just me being completely honest. I'm not saying that they're not better than them. I'm not saying that they, I'm not saying, you know, they're gonna be worse or better or anything like that, but to automatically, before the season starts, right after Summer League, kind of put them and say, hey, this is where they are. Like, this is the team that are better than the Celtics. Knicks aren't there for me yet. Ben saying Cat would be perfect with the 2 Js, 1,000,000%. Like, that's a big that can actually play big. That's a big that can also shoot the ball. You know, offense can run through him. He's, again, like, I don't know if it's White Whale or White Buffalo. I'm just being a dummy here. But I do think Karl-Anthony Towns is like my must-get trade, but I just can't fathom how that would necessarily work without giving up Jaylen Brown. Like, I don't know, because the one difference to me, and maybe it's just me, but my opinion is that Minnesota still has leverage with Karl-Anthony Towns. You never hear the true reports of like, oh my God, the city's on fire, he hates it here. You don't get that. You get that with Bradley Beal. The guy's talked about being traded forever now. You know, so I don't know. The one thing too, and the Wizards seemingly tried to get better. I know the talks of Bradley Beal and wanting to be out of there have kind of slowed down, but they got, you know what, Trez Harrell, Kuzma, I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's really good friends with Beal, so it's interesting. Maybe they're trying to make a push and campaign to say, hey, stick around a little bit. Let's keep you. Jimmy's saying Brad Stevens gets an A. He does. I think he's been killing it so far. Mayhem saying literally came here from your most recent vid. Love it, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet. And also, if you do want to support the show, send a super chat. You know, any amount helps, and it's going right back in to making good content for you guys. No Cap says, if Beal comes to... Oh, this is an interesting thing. All right, so if Beal comes to Boston, would you then trade Jaylen for Towns? He'd fit better. Do you think the Wolves do the deal? I think you could if you involve Jaylen Brown in a deal, I do think you can get Towns. I know I'm saying he's like this dream trade, but I do think that he's super gettable if Jaylen Brown's in a deal. And that's an interesting thing. So would I trade Jaylen for Karl-Anthony Towns if Beal came to Boston? If they could get Bradley Beal in Boston, does it make Jaylen Brown expendable? I think I would say the answer is yes, but I don't know if that's best case scenario. Beal's obviously way older than Jaylen. You know, he's clearly more proven, but you don't really know what you're getting with him. So I do think that seems like it's a... I like that, no cap. That's a good sort of hypothetical. What would you guys do? Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you would do that. Again, the question is, if Bradley Beal were to come to Boston, would you be willing to then trade Jaylen Brown for Karl-Anthony Towns? Because I do think Bradley Beal makes Jaylen more expendable, but I don't know if I would do it. I really don't think that Jaylen Brown's like... I think he's an untouchable for me right now. But that's a very, very good theory. Jimmy J with the $5. Shout out to you, Jimmy J. Let's go. There's the support. Thank you so much for that again. any sort of donations or super chats that we're getting here are going right back into the channel. I hope you guys have appreciated the sort of grind that we've put into the channel. Like 1,000,000%. Like, I'm waking up every single morning saying, how can we make this a better channel? How can we make it a stronger channel, more entertaining for you guys? And I do truly appreciate that, Jimmy. So shout out to that. I know you're one of the OGs of the channel, always in the comments and everything like that. So shout out to Jimmy. Let's get through a few of these real quick, too. Jimmy says, Randall choking the playoffs. Tatum averaged 30 alone. Tom says, are you still man-crushing on Wuhan? But, I mean, I still can't say this dude's name. Juhan Bajarin. I know it's, like, way different than that, but, you know, come on now. How am I supposed to say names? But if you guys haven't seen that video, okay? If you haven't seen that video, I watched him for the first time. I watched Juhan Bajarin, whatever the hell his name is, for the first time, and instantly was like, whoa, who the hell's this guy? And I was like, is he the real deal? I mean, I seemingly have been proven wrong there, because it looks like he's going back to France and everything like that. But yeah, it was kind of wild to see him for the first time and all of a sudden be like, whoa, who's this guy? Jay says, I heard a YouTuber say the Hawks could be a top 3 seed. It's crazy, but not totally unbelievable. Hey, and I talk about that too in one of the last videos here, where we're talking about the Celtics ranking in the East. Same clip I was watching from the Celtics Beat podcast. The Hawks are there, but to me, I need to see the Hawks do that for a second year before I'm like, hey, the Hawks are going to be the guys. You know what I mean? Like, I need to see the Hawks not just be a sort of Cinderella team. You know, they bring in their new coach, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, they're winning 1,000,000 games in a row and stuff like that. Like, I need to see a little bit more of a long-term success from the Hawks. But I will say, like, I think that they opened a lot of eyes this year. I'm just not, and again, we're having a conversation of, like, back to the Knicks topic, putting them in the automatic category, right? Like, I'm just not putting them in the automatic category right now. I'm not saying the Hawks aren't better than the Celtics. You have last year to prove that they are, right? As of right now, based on the most recent history. But to go and say, you know, oh my God, they're automatically, I'm not there yet, but hey, if they go and do what they did again, and Trae Young goes and silences Madison Square Garden and all of New York again type of thing, you're looking at a guy that is super underrated. And I love Trae Young. I don't necessarily love the way I do love the way he plays, but that's not what it's about. What it's about from Trae Young to me is that he's constantly doubted. You know what I mean? Constantly doubted, and those are the type of guys that I really do love. Jimmy says it just shows how deep the East is. Andrew saying Detroit will be a surprise and shoot for the 8th. Cade is that good. Cade is really that good. I've been impressed by him 100%. Like I liked him, but I didn't watch him like all that much. Like, who's watching all those OSU games, like every single one of them type of thing. But damn, he is good. Like he and you know what it is? I don't know if this is, maybe I'm the only one who thinks that. Like, he gives me some like young Tatum vibes too with his play. I hate to say that because Tatum's so damn good, but hey. Man, I'm saying the only locks better than the C's next year are healthy Nets, Bucks, and Philly, as much as I hate to say the last one, but I bet we'll be a top 3 with all these new moves, coaches included. And that's a big thing. Like, the biggest move the Celtics have made is a culture shock and bringing in the coach, and I hope it's going to be for better. I hope it's going to light fires under their asses. So yeah, I mean, I'm so in on the new coaches here, or the new coach here, and coach is actually plural, and I'm very excited for that. I don't know if I'm still like, I think the Heat are also a much better team they were last year. That's going to be tough. So I'm not locking the Celtics in, and I will have a video coming out sometime soon on the channel talking about exactly where I think the Celtics are going to finish and sort of a look around the league in terms of the East. Looks like you guys would do that Beal thing, the Beal deal. Jeremy says Beal could force his way to Boston because of his friendship with Tatum. Cat wouldn't force his way to Boston. Yeah, but again, I think, and I agree with that. Like, I think that Karl-Anthony Towns is way harder to get, but I do think that's strictly because he hasn't thrown a fit, you know. But you're right. Like, why Boston to Karl-Anthony Towns? Why Boston? Whereas that's such a huge piece of the Bradley Beal situation. Why Boston for Karl-Anthony Towns? And I don't know if that if there's an answer to that question, making it even harder for them to get him. Jimmy says, excited for the scene, much love to me. Yeah, hey, love the donation as well. I really do appreciate that. Again, Jimmy J, one of the OGs of the channel. If you guys do want to follow in Jimmy's footsteps, make sure to hit that super chat and send it in. Let's see. Just Shush says, IDK if I would do it because I think JB has more potential, but Cat is an all-star caliber player where it won't be a mismatch when against Embiid. Yeah, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is that guy, you know? Jeremy saying no way in hell they would trade Cat for Jaylen Brown. I do think involving Jaylen Brown makes it potential if Karl Anthony Towns wants out. Ben saying Beal being great mates with Tatum does not mean they will get to keep Brown and get Cat, 3 youngsters with huge potential. Let's see. I don't know if I got this name. I don't know if I have this name in the bag, but I'm going to give my damn best try. Branislav, I'll call you B, says everyone is sleeping on the Celtics. Last year was our biggest problem was our weak bench, and this year we improved it. We did, 100%. But you will say this, and you'll see this take, against the Celtics, you lost some top-end talent. I know people are not going to jump out of their seats to call Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier top-end talent, but based on this team's composition last year, those were top-end guys. You lost them. I do think you got a lot better and a lot deeper, and hopefully Tatum and Brown can sort of, cover up that top-end miss, because I don't think it's that big of a void. Like Kemba Walker, when was he healthy? Fournier, same thing. BP saying, I like that Time Lord deal. $13 million a year is super cheap. Just Google other guys making $12 to $14 million a year and you realize how great the deal is. Let's see. If that's as easy to Google. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, let me share screen. Let's look at the range of what guys are making here. We're going to look at that 12 to 14, so it's somewhere around here. You guys like that I pulled that up so quick, huh? How about that? I read your comment, BP, and was like, all right, I'm on it. Let's start from top down. Duncan Robinson, Marcus Morris, Will Barton, Norman Powell, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Malik Beasley, Smart's there. Or this is Smart, I guess, this season. Pat Beverly, Thad Young, Valanciunas, Christian Wood. I mean, yeah, who on this list has more potential than Robert Williams? Give you DeJounte Murray, maybe. I wouldn't throw Kuzma in that anymore. Like DeAndre Ayton, probably that's a good deal. But we're talking this AAV, this $13 million a year for the next 4 years. Like all of these numbers are going to change big time. So I do think when you look at it around the league like that, that is an awesome deal. But again, it's just going to come down to the health. Jimmy saying Cat wasn't even an all-star. Jaylen was. Mitch saying, I think the Celtics are that 3 to 7 seed range. Just depends on how everything falls into place. I'm giving them, I think, a 4 to 6 lock, and then maybe a 3 to 7 if things go really well, and then 7 if like things kind of the train falls off the tracks type of thing again. Jimmy saying Miami might have chemistry problem. Boston has a great Dominican community. Ask Horford. Fitzy saying I make fun of the G League all-star team the Celtics have, but these young guys could really make a difference for next season if these guys turn out. The future is bright. Yeah, I mean, hey, if we do see a leap from like a Nesmith, for example, or a Pritchard, all of a sudden you have 2 guys that you can rely on night in and night out that you couldn't rely on last year. Like that's huge. 2 more basketball. You only have 12 guys on the active roster. You have 2 more guys you can rely on? Sign me up. Chris saying, hey, dude, I'm a big fan of the content. I'm from Germany and therefore obviously following the whole Dennis Schroder situation. Do you think he could actually stay long-term after wanting more money next year? I'm not going to lie. I don't think so. I don't think Dennis Schroder ever takes a team-friendly deal again in his career. You don't do that. He's already a walking meme of a guy that lost that much money. I cannot picture him being like, hey, I'll stay on the Celtics long term for, $10 million a year or something like that. I don't think so. I would love it. I would take it in a heartbeat. I just don't know. But it depends. Hey, maybe he comes in here and he's like, hey, sign me up. This is awesome. This is better than money. If the Celtics are really good. Let's see. Mitch saying Cat is the best center you could have outside of Embiid and Jokic. Totally agree. Jeremy says Celtics, Hawks, Knicks, Heat, Bulls equal interchangeable. Charlotte right there too. East is going to be really competitive. 100% agree. And that's where I put it. I think I put the Heat maybe if things work out with the guys they got and everything like that, Kyle. I would put them maybe slightly ahead. But to me, that's why I'm not ready to have the conversation of, hey, they're way better than them. The Knicks, the Hawks, the Bulls, the Hornets. No, they're not definitely automatically better. Could you say they're better than them? I'm not going to argue that, because they might be. But they're interchangeable. Well said, Mitch, and I see Ben says that as well. 50 says, if Pritchard, Nesmith, and Romeo could all make an impact, I think our ceiling is 58 wins-ish. Jeremy saying, why are you guys talking about this dude? I cannot pronounce his name. Bajarin is gonna, and I know it's like Wanhan, but I know that the name's so far from this, but you guys know exactly how I'm rolling with it now. It's gonna be Bajarin for now. And until the next time I say it, that's probably gonna change. But he says, Bajarin's gonna be a beast eventually. Look forward to seeing how he does in France this year. Yeah, I mean, when I watch his highlights, my jaw almost hit the floor if you guys watch that video. Let's see. Just says, I don't know for you, but I feel like Duncan is literally perfect for us. For example, Tatum Brown getting double teamed, just giving it to Duncan would be a dream. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, yes, I would love Duncan Robinson. When you're playing against him, he's got the face that you want to punch right in the face. Like, the face that you want to punch right in the face. There we go. Look at me. My brain's really, really working right now. But he's got a face that you just want to punch. But on the team, I would take him 100%. Better Call Kaz says, honestly, the Celtics are so underrated this year. Could not agree more. Underrated for sure, because the fact that people are even saying like, oh, they could be a play-in team. Like, no, the only reason they were even a play-in team last year is because they had such a bad year. And I don't care if you want to say it was the injuries or COVID or anything like that. I think they literally just had like the vibe was wrong, to put it so simply. You know, like they could have had all their talent, and I feel like still just would not have been a good, like they would have been underwhelming and they would not rise to expectations. And then they were still at that point a 7 seed. So how can you say, not anyone in particular here, but how can anyone say, oh, they're going to be a 10 seed or the lowest, like why? Based on what? I feel like they have, I don't know if on paper a totally better team, but I can't imagine them having as big of a letdown season as last year, and a letdown season like last year only resulted in a 7 seed. Let's not forget that. Like I know that we're like, oh, that's where they finished last year. How'd they improve? But it took a lot. Just like it would take a lot for them to be a top 3 seed, it took a lot for the Celtics to get to the 7th seed, to be that bad to get to the 7th seed. Like they were playing really good basketball at different times during the year. It took a lot for them to get that poor and that low in the seedings. Let's see. Jeremy saying Wood and Ayton are comparable to Time Lord. If he can stay healthy, he can be just as good as Ayton and Wood. Yeah, I agree. And the fact that, again, their deals, well, Christian Wood just got his new deal, right? But DeAndre Ayton, I would imagine, I don't know this off the top of my head, but like that's a deal that's probably going to change in the next couple of years. You have Robert Williams for 4 more years on that pay range. Let's see. Just says, I think the Celtics are so underrated as well this season. I genuinely think we can go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, that'd be awesome. Sign me up. Sam Hauser, low-key, our next Duncan Robinson. Give it a year or 2. That's from Mitch. Yeah, I mean, I'd love that. The guy that they can just rely on to shoot, sign me the hell up. Better Call Cass says, do you think we'll sign Isaiah Thomas? I get asked this all the time. I don't think they're going to sign Isaiah Thomas. Like, I don't think that he would necessarily fit. I mean, sign me up for that. Like, honestly, like, I know that I'm kind of talking both sides of it right now, but I'm in on the Isaiah Thomas signing just for the theatrics and the emotional aspect of it, okay? But when you come back to reality and think logically about it, I don't think Isaiah Thomas is a guy that totally fits here or would totally be needed here, or a guy that would really, really help them. But I would 1,000,000% bring him back in and give him the chance at least. Like maybe he comes in and can actually help this team. But like I just don't think he's would be as big of an impact as he once was, which is a no-brainer. But I don't see them doing it because Brad Stevens is going to think way more logically, right? And us fans are thinking so emotionally, so I don't see it happening. But I would be in on it if it did. Like I would be on a man crush Monday type Twitter spree if they got Isaiah Thomas, because I love him. Jeremy says don't sleep on Langford. Yeah, I just wish he would stay healthy. Mayhem saying Bejarin is high key nice. Yeah, I mean when I watch his highlights, I was like, wow. A few more comments here, guys. And then I think we're going to close down shop. If you are enjoying the show and if you do have any spare change jangling around in your pocket, make sure to super chat if you'd like. I would really appreciate it. We got one from Jimmy J earlier, and I can't thank you guys enough for that type of support. And we're going to do these more often. Let me know if you guys think, what you guys like about the live, or if you guys do like the live streams for the podcast, I guess. Since we've been grinding on the YouTube, the podcast has sort of we're posting one every like couple weeks still on the YouTube too. But we used to do this live every single week. The Unleashed podcast, which we might be changing the name to. More to come on that. But and guys, if you aren't aware, I know we got a bunch of new subscribers this offseason. We're live here after every single Celtics game. So do make sure to check that out and stop in at the end of every single Celtics game. But let's get to some comments, then we're going to close down shop. And I appreciate everyone tuning in today. But 508 said, why does Duncan Robinson look like Sheen from Jimmy Neutron? 50 saying, everyone talking about Duncan Robinson, like don't have a Trey, they don't have a young Aaron Nesmith on the team. Hey, if Nesmith can do what he's supposed to do, then yeah, Duncan Robinson, we don't need him. Nesmith better defensively as well. Jeremy saying Bergeron looked good in Summer League too. Yeah, he did. At times he looked like he wasn't totally ready, but if the Celtics, if the Celtics hadn't got deeper this offseason, he'd probably be a guy that they could try and, I guess they might have to buy him out and bring him to the NBA this year. You know what I mean? But they got a lot of guys, like a Chris Dunn, for example, is obviously going to take a roster spot over some second round pick. Mitch saying the Celtics were good last year in the first 10 games against solid competition, and then before Kemba came back and COVID took over everything. Just says Kyrie Irving to Boston 2022 free agency. Who says no? I say no. Fitzy saying bring back IT. Mitch says I think IT would only be here as a midseason signing if they had injuries. Just says don't think you should. Do you think we should bring in Millsap where he can bring in experience and leadership to our team? And shout out to Better Call Kaz for subscribing. We'll play that again. Shout out to you. Thank you very much for subscribing. Let's get to this comment though. What the heck? I botched that. Like I've never read before. Just says, don't you think we should bring in Paul Millsap where he can bring in experience and leadership to our team? I would take him. I've completely lost, and Paul Millsap I think is an upcoming YouTube video, so I don't want to give away too much. I would be okay with it, but I've completely lost track of how much money the Celtics have. I don't get it. I understand Millsap would probably be a vet min type of thing, but like, where the heck is this money coming from? Better says Pritchard or Nesmith. Who do you think will take a bigger leap this year? Oh, I like that question. Who between those two guys will take a bigger leap this year? I think Nesmith will take the bigger leap because he really played well in Summer League, and also who has the bigger leap potential. Like Nesmith didn't really, rise to expectations last year at all. The only reason he was playing was because he was hustling and everything like that. We didn't see the shooting. We didn't see the offensive playmaking, anything like that. So I'm going to say Nesmith's going to take the bigger leap, but don't sleep on Pritchard. Like, he's already taken a leap in my mind. I talked about him earlier in the show, but I'm going to go with Nesmith. I really do think Nesmith takes that bigger leap. Lemon says, so here's my theory. Tatum came in, Boston gave him the keys and told him the team is that the team's he's the future, and this offended a lot of players. That's why so many opt to leave. Thoughts? I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, who are we saying is leaving? Like Semi or Fournier? Like, who are we saying would be the guy that's leaving? I guess, or any, like, who's the example? Because unless I'm just drawing absolute blanks here, Lemons, like, if there's not proof, but if there's sort of like, applicable sort of use cases here, then I don't know. Like, maybe some guys just don't get along with Tatum and maybe they don't want to be here if he's going to be the guy, which I think he already is. Hayward, okay. So Hayward, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. It could just be the fact that, and forget for a second that they, like, he offended them or anything like that. Rozier's a good example. Okay, last couple years. I got you. Terry, to me, just wanted his, like, I think Terry is I love Terry Rozier, by the way, if you guys didn't know, but I would say Terry Rozier went and got his sort of, his bag and his opportunity. I don't think that has to do with him wanting to leave. Like, he left a team that still had, a better point guard ahead of him and whatnot. But what I will say, Hayward, I don't know if it's necessarily he would offend them, and I'm going to play with the hypothetical here, so I'm going to agree with you for a second. I don't necessarily know if it would be like, oh, they offended him or anything like that, right? I would say it's more of a, if you're Gordon Hayward, or if you're Evan Fournier, or if you're, we'll use your names, Terry Rozier, or if you're Kyrie Irving or anything like that, right? And you see that, hey, everything's going to be running through Jason Tatum. Maybe you're like, oh, well, I want to go find my own opportunity and my own shots elsewhere. Hey, shout out to Better Call Kaz for the $2 donated through Super Chat. It says, love the content. Keep it up, bro. Appreciate that, guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys that have tuned in today, especially you guys that have Super Chatted. It really makes this, we're going to take these streams and this channel or anything like that to the next level. We're going to invest in the channel, and in turn, that's kind of investing in making a better product for you guys. So we're only getting started, We've gone from like 200 subs at the end of the Celtics season last year to, I think we're like 1,500 plus right now, approaching 2K. So yeah, big time shout out to anyone that's tuned in today, and a bigger shout out to the few super chats that we got. Really do appreciate that. Going back to that point, though, I think that, that might just be more of a, not Tatum offended them, but more of a, hey, like, this is never going to be our team. Like, think about Gordon Hayward's, how his time here transpired. He came in thinking that he was going to play with Kyrie Irving, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, or did he even come? Maybe he came in he came in when Kyrie was already on the team. Yeah, and then, he was supposed to be it was them two. It's about to be crazy, G, to use Kyrie's words. And then all of a sudden, it's like, nope, actually, you're going to hurt yourself and be gone forever. And then you're going to come back. But when you come back, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be this team's future, not you, buddy. And then you're going to get hurt again. Like, he had a roller coaster ride. So to me, I wouldn't pinpoint it, Lemons. I wouldn't pinpoint it on Tatum. I would pinpoint it on the situation. And maybe Tatum is the cause of that situation because Tatum got so damn good. But I wouldn't say like this situation offended people, Ooh, I like this. Just says, how much do you think Tatum and Brown are averaging next year? I think Tatum, so what did they average last year, right? So Brown was around 23, 24, maybe 25. Tatum was 26. I think that, as long as they combine for, give me like 50 points, so 25 per, I'm happy. But I'd love to see Tatum go for, around 27 and a half. Brown be over 25. But the one thing I'd love to see too is, if they can bump up their assists, their rebounds numbers too, all of a sudden they're becoming more and more complete players. So I do think that they each get maybe a 1.5 to 2 point buff to their averages. But rebounds and assists, I'd love to see a couple more drop for there as well. Jeremy saying Kemba and Thompson were a bad fit. Yeah, we kind of figured that out with Kemba. I think you could have worked with the Thompson fit way more, right? Because he's not ball dominant. All he does is goes in there and bangs the big guys, tries to get rebounds and stuff. But Kemba, I think it was clear as day now. Let's not forget Kemba was very good that first year with the Celtics, right? When he was an all-star, when he was with the Celtics. But watching how they were balling at the beginning of last year, then Kemba comes back, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was against the Knicks. It was like a Sunday game, right? And they got their absolute doors kicked in Kemba's return, right? I don't know if I have that right, but that's how I'm remembering it. You started to see, okay, and I'm not going to say Kemba and Tatum, but there was, and I still believe this, I'm on record saying it plenty, there was definitely some sort of friction, at least on the court, between Kemba and Jaylen. Like 1,000,000%. Like, they did not gel together on the court. Ed saying, what is up? What's up, Edward? Tatum or Brown have to beat Kobe's second coming for them to compete. I don't know, maybe. Edward saying, should have kept Rozier. I would have loved to keep Terry. Like, oh my God. If you were to ask me last year, Kemba or Terry, I think everyone's taking Rozier, right? Like, I loved him. Really do still like him too. And he just got a big contract as well. All right, a few more comments here, guys. Again, I appreciate any super chats that you guys send. It definitely helps support the channel, support me, and definitely support the quality of these videos moving forward. But a few more comments, then we're gonna hop off. We've been live for just about an hour. I literally was planning on being live here for like 20 minutes doing the show, but hey, what are you gonna do? But here we go. We got Tatum. This is coming from CJ. Says Tatum and Brown don't play consistent together when facing LA. One game Tatum was carrying the offense, the second was Brown, but never both. And hopefully that's the type of way that they can improve. Like I talked about their averages. If they can be better players off of each other, because I'm not saying they have to go and get a bunch of assists, right? But if Tatum and Brown could be less ISO driven and, hey, I got the ball, let me go score, this team's going to be 10 times better. Like if they could play a two-man game, oh my God, that'd be amazing. Better saying, what do you feel about this starting line? Smart, Brown, Tatum, Williams, and Horford. I do like it. Keep an eye on it. I'm going to do a starting lineup video in the next, I think we got it scheduled in the next couple days, maybe the next 3 days or so. So I will say that is, I'm kind of splitting the lineup into a couple different parts. So Kaz, keep that in mind, because this lineup that you just said is a situational lineup that I'm going to talk about in that video. I do like that video. I will probably like that video, and I hope you guys do, but I meant to say I like this lineup. Just says, who do you think's winning the NBA championship next season? I honestly think it's the Nets just because of KD, man. He's too damn good. That's what I've said that too. Like, I think the Nets, they got the short end of this. And again, I don't love the Nets. I don't love what they did. I don't love how they build their team. I don't like Kyrie Irving. He's a loser. Kevin Durant's a snake. All that stuff I'm supposed to say as a Celtics fan, right? I do think that they are just probably the best team in basketball, especially a year into playing with each other. So the Nets is probably my, prediction, but I'm not going to, after what happened last year, I'm hoping we're starting to see the NBA sort of go back to a point of, hey, it's anyone's game. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but yeah, that's what we got. All right, last thing I wanted to do before we close down here is I wanted to go over the schedule because I've only looked at it real quickly. So let's check this out. Lemon says, appreciates your attention to comments, killer content, and looking forward to the future shows. Thank you. Yeah, hey, if you guys are new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and I want to explain one thing. That is what I've always said about doing the streams and whatnot. The comments are kind of where this stream strives. Like, I want to, if YouTube's gonna have a comment bar and a live chat bar, why the hell would someone, and I know there's a lot of accounts out there that do it, why would you run a live show with a chat box but not use the chat? You want people to just talk amongst themselves? I don't like that. And if you guys have been tuning into the post-game streams the last few years that we do after every single Celtics game, you know that I read every single comment, unless I get super far behind and then I stink at it. But that's kind of a shtick in and of itself. But yeah, I'm trying to read all chat and everything like that. But let's take a peek at the schedule here. So this is the schedule, and I think this is shout out to KJ. He was in the chat earlier. Site president over on our site here, Guy Boston Sports. Yeah, and you know, it's kind of funny. Not funny, but the first games that were released, right, it was New York. So they're going to go and face Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker, and then Milwaukee on Christmas Day, which is awesome. But if you guys want to take a peek at this, let me know what games you're excited for, because there's a lot of them. Like, they play Washington a couple times pretty early on in the year, too. You're going to see Beal, that type of thing. You're going to see Rozier and Hayward and everything like that. It's awesome. But let's see what KJ notes here. He says, as always, there's a few games you wanted to mark on the calendar that'll be noteworthy with a warm welcome to the expected Boston crowd. One of the games coming the beginning of the year, October 27th, is going to be Bradley Beal. April 3rd, he has another one, so he has 2 chances to play here in Boston. The Celtics will play the Lakers for the first time November 19th, and the Nets for the first time November 24th, both at home. And then the first game against the 76ers, December 1st. And then Kemba, yes, they're going to play Kemba if he's healthy, night 1. But Kemba's going to make his return to Boston December 18th. And Gordon Hayward will be back in January. That's interesting. Gordon Hayward hasn't played since leaving to Charlotte. I didn't really realize that. Let's see. Jackin's saying because they're afraid if people disagree with them and they're too weak. Hey, you guys know, if you've been tuning in, I know a lot of you guys have been tuning into the Celtics post-game shows over the last few years. I get people to disagree with me all the time because I'm kind of a dummy, right? I'm not always the smartest when it comes to Celtics. I just like to talk about it. So I hear out all comments, and if someone wants to disagree with me, fine. Let's go. Let's put them up and let's talk it out. Let's talk it out. All right, what are you guys excited for here? Warriors versus Celtics. When do we see the Warriors? Golden State I'm looking for. There's one here. Is the one before that? So the Celtics see Golden State December 17th. We got March 13th. What do we got there? March 13th. I feel like I'm playing bingo or something. Dallas, March 13th. Dallas. Let's see. Just saying, bro, you're genuinely my favorite Boston Celtics YouTuber. Do more live stream, bros. You're killing it. Hey, thank you so much, guys. Thank you to everyone tuning in today. And make sure you do hit that subscribe button, like this stream. And guys, we're going to be doing this more and more often. Like I said, we are continuing to invest in the channel, which is why I appreciate all the super chats and everything like that, because I want to make a better product for you guys, taking the quality up to the next level. You know, if you saw some of these, oh right, March 13th is KG's retirement. Yeah, I was thinking it was just like the Dallas game, but now that clicks. Thank you very much. Yeah, I forgot about that. Number 5 for the Raptors. Very excited for that. But what I was saying was I guess, you know, we're trying to take this. If you saw the streams that we did in the videos we did a long time ago, I don't even know if they still exist. A lot of them were on Twitter or on Periscope. Like, who was there? Like, I don't even know if anyone, you know, I know some of the OG names, but were any of you guys there? Like, when we first started doing those streams 3 or 4 years ago, they were crap. Like, they started as me holding my phone up being like, hey, what's going on, guys? Now we have a whole setup and everything like that, in an office. So yeah, we're really grinding away to try and make it better for you guys. So I do appreciate everyone tuning in, for damn sure. Like, it means a lot. And you guys have shown your support not only through the super chats, but just consuming any sort of content we put out. Like, we've grown, I don't know, almost 1,500 subscribers since last season ended. Like, that is crazy to me. So appreciate that, guys. We are going to start signing off. Thank you to everyone that tuned in, and hopefully we're going to get back to doing the show weekly. We are going to change up the name, I believe, because a little backstory, not to bore you guys, but we started the Unleashed podcast. Like, I think this is episode 113. We started this, I don't know, over 2 years ago, right? And I had another Celtics podcast at the time. This is supposed to be sort of me unleashing, and I could talk about anything, world events, anything. Just probably not politics, but anything going on with me, anything like that, more of like just a fun talk about anything show. So it was Unleashed. quickly I realized I suck at talking about anything other than the Celtics. In fact, I don't even know why, I talk about the Celtics. I feel like I'm bad at that sometimes too. You guys in the comments put me in body bags all the time. But yeah, now that this is just truly a Celtics show, and it has been for like 2 years, we're probably gonna rework the name maybe. So if you do have any Celtics name ideas, DM me on Twitter at EvGuyBoston. It just popped up on the screen. Make sure to DM me there for any Celtic podcast name ideas, and you'll definitely get your shout out if we do roll with your name. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Appreciate everyone that tuned in, and yeah, keep an eye out. Make sure to turn on the post notifications because we are pumping out the content lately. So I'll catch you guys later.